Tonight we have lawn care bids and processing gravel bids due in. And we have Nicole to discuss rec deck and farmer's market. And then we've got discussions on Westbrook Drive, transfer station. And I believe we have a non-public at the end. So before we start, if we please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Let's do lawn care first, please.
On this line, it's,
David, we found out afterwards that
what about the one here, Dave?
already been approached by the cemetery,
That's okay, they gave to us both places.
Okay.
Yeah, you get both.
Yeah.
This one's given without, this one's given with. So you got one with, one without, and one with both.
Okay, Jay, you wanna start it off?
I got a bid here for lawn care. You want each
Name,
parcel, or you just want a total?
I would suggest it be if they have the total for the town, and then the total for the cemeteries. If
This
they
one here,
quote that.
under cemeteries, it says not priced per
Okay.
Peter Goey. So,
Okay, yep.
this is a number from Gordon Services, Property Maintenance. For everything but the cemeteries, $10,100. And it's, be done on a weekly basis unless weather dictates otherwise.
John?
I have a bid from Brown's Lawn and Snow out of Keene. Bid without cemeteries, 15,000 even. Cemeteries, $11,760. For a lump sum of $26,760.
Can you repeat the cemetery, please?
$11,760.
And I have the one from Anna Hardscapes LLC. For the town, would be $11,749.98. And with the cemeteries, it's $26,749.98, so that would be $15,000.
Number between Brown and Anna is $10 difference.
What's that, Jay?
The numbers between, the last two are $10 different. It's pretty close.
Yeah, they're just reversed on where they put,
Right,
where they're
yeah.
putting the money.
Yeah.
Joanne, do you know why that one was told not to bid? Okay.
The only thing I could think of was, when Peter talked to Anna, they said they had already been hired by the cemetery trustees, so maybe that's what he told them about the bidding on the cemetery.
Okay.
Guess.
So if I'm looking at my notes correctly, Gordon Services at $10,100.
Correct.
But this one, yeah, nothing broken out.
Right, they've got it been lumped in, 'cause it says here total for each, we should have done something with a blank here with a dollar sign over there. Let's see what that is.
Because both of those actually broke it out. That's the only one that didn't break it out.
I guess it wouldn't be that we would, I don't know why he asked me to be broken out, other than to make sure they had this full scope.
Right, full scope of
Because
work.
we wouldn't say, okay, you're gonna do this one, you're gonna do. You know.
No, I understand
Yeah,
that, but I think,
yeah.
I would just like, cause I mean, it just seems like they kinda go.
Bark mulch is included in the spring cleanup and summer pruning of bushes around the town hall.
Okay.
That's why I'm wondering on here. See, he's picked that up, which I'm not sure. It's in here or not, as part of the scope of work to bid.
That one I had from Gordon mentioned, bark mulch as, the second page, down toward the bottom. I don't know if he was asked not to include it, or,
This is additional services such as edging, mulching, planting, loaming, reseeding, tree and bush work, etc., are available based on time, material,
quotes can be provided for each project upon request.
That was,
So that's not included on Gordon.
okay, which is, the first part was supposed to be.
Right.
Cause up here, Peter has down the trimming, mowing, and cleanup. And on the front, lawn care invitation to bid, it, fertilization, aeration fields, Memorial Park and mulching of the town office and welcome to New Ipswich sign areas. So if you, did he include the mulching? Or was that additional?
It doesn't, mulching, yep,
What is it?
it is there.
But on the front where you were saying he had additional service.
Oh, that's this. He does have $670 on mulching for that.
What was the one that you just read?
Yeah,
about
that was that
additional
one.
Services,
Yeah.
okay,
Just edging, mulching, planting, loaming, reseeding, treating brushwood.
Okay.
Oh,
well, mulching.
But he
that
does
should
have
been-
some mulching, but
yeah.
it's much less, like his is much less than what this one is based on, I guess,
Yeah.
and that one's not broken out.
But the one thing that he has in here, and I don't even see what Peter asked for it, but I guess knowing how we do things, and he's done it in the past, is he's got the trimming of shrubs, which wasn't asked for. How do you wanna handle that?
Good question, because it didn't, bid it the same way.
Right, he's included it,
Right.
additional in that number.
Along with what everyone else has
Yeah.
stated to include.
Well, you can, yeah, I guess, huh? Well, if you're looking at just town, not including the cemeteries, Gordon and A&A are what, $1,600 a part, roughly?
Yeah,
But Gordon didn't include any pruning, not
Correct.
knowing to, so it's not like he omitted it, he just wasn't
Correct.
told to do it, so.
correct.
Do we give him an opportunity to come back with that, or do we ask,
We can, either way you look at it.
right, do we ask one
it's
to include and one
And
to,
it's public.
at this point, yeah, yeah.
Well, I guess we can ask them both, and those numbers are not public, what the
The pruning number
deduct would be for one.
and the
from
addition for the
one,
other.
And the addition from the other, and maybe once we get that, we make a decision.
Good.
You agree?
I don't know, Gordon bid it the way he was told to bid it, and that's the number he gave us, so.
Okay, so now
I
you
know we're
would
not getting
say,
a service.
right, so then you're gonna ask them, well, now we're gonna need
Yeah,
to do this.
I understand, but he did it the way we wanted it done.
Yeah, yeah.
So how do you penalize somebody for doing something the way you asked them to do it?
You ask them to include the scope that we should have included in that. We're at fault for not having it in there. Do you agree?
I would agree.
Okay.
Yeah.
And I don't think we're
So we'll
gonna,
ask those two to rework the numbers on the town
well,
portion.
just to say, you know, what would it be to delete it from
Yeah.
Hannaford
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
from
Well, and
the
then-
service that's back in?
And I would just, when we speak to him, just clarify that, cause he says additional services such as edging, mulching, planting, loam. He has
Yeah.
some mulch in here,
That mulching is included.
So he's got, yeah, so when we say, yeah, all this is mulched and you included it for $670, that's a deal. Considering the other one is,
Have all that much.
well, no, the other one's $1,500 for mulching. $33 a square
Yeah.
yard,
Yeah,
so,
so can we
that's,
contact them and have them address that?
I said $670, that's a deal for that amount, mulching and spreading it.
Let's
Yeah,
keep
we'll
these
get
on,
I don't know
correct
if the dairy's got
envelopes. Can you
33
put yours
bucks a
in the
square.
envelopes, and we'll give these to Joanne?
So what do you wanna do about the cemeteries? You wanna, anything? Cause two of them did cemeteries and one didn't.
But somebody at this table just said a few minutes ago that it was awarded by the cemetery trustees.
Okay, it wasn't me, I didn't,
Joanne, okay, I knew I heard it,
Who's on
Yeah.
first?
so,
they put that out already? They have a contractor?
Yeah.
Okay.
Peter told me after we had actually sent that out.
Oh, all
we
right.
Found out that the cemeteries had already been awarded and
oh, okay.
So I'm sure there's folks here from the lawn care companies, do you wanna,
Are they?
yes, I know there's at least one gentleman here from lawn
Two.
care. Two, there you go.
So then we don't have to send you out anything,
No,
you're Anna Pro,
Yeah.
Brown's Lawn and Snow.
and you're,
Brown's Lawn and Snow.
you were the highway,
Yeah.
okay? Is there somebody here from Gordon's? No, okay. Thank you for submitting a proposal.
No problem. So what are you gonna do with that?
Because the Anna Pro include in the proposal the trimming of all the shrubs. And Gordon didn't because we never asked for it. We're gonna ask Anna Pro to give us a value to delete it, and Gordon Services a value to add it in.
It's always been an extra service that we've added for the last, I don't know, 5 or 6 years that we've been doing it.
I understand, so now when we're looking at your cost proposal, which includes it, we know we're gonna need it done, so now we have to go to the other vendor and say, okay, if this were to get added, what's the cost? And in order to evaluate it fairly, ask you what the value would be if we were to delete it.
Okay.
Does it make sense?
Makes sense to me.
Alright. Any other questions, gentlemen?
No, it's
The only amendments that we're doing are the ones that you mentioned, or can we make additional amendments? Because I noticed that the other selectmen said it was a bit high on some of our prices. And we said, well, is the amendment, what I'm saying, only if we're doing actually those?
Cause that's the only difference between them, if I had this correctly, putting the cemeteries aside, because we're finding out the cemetery trustees have already awarded that.
Mhm.
I had down Gordon Services at 10-1, Brown's Lawn and Snow at 15, and Anna Pro Scrapes at 11,749.98, just for the town services.
Minus the cemeteries, because those
Right,
are not non-existent.
Those don't, yeah,
Okay. So then would we resend it back to you guys, or are you just gonna go on our proposals from today?
based on the proposals from today.
Okay.
Although I will say, in fairness, no, because yours can only go up. Because if you didn't have the trimming of the shrubs either, because we didn't ask for it, your cost would,
We include that
Yeah.
in that. That's a service that we had with naturally with the mowing.
Okay.
That's a service that we typically add in.
so you wanna submit a proposal for what it would cost to delete that,
We would.
okay? Fair enough.
Thank you.
All right, these are the bid proposals received for the processing of the town materials down at the transfer station for gravel. Okay, I have proposal from Northeast Earth Mechanics. And, what we had requested was, approximately 6,000 yards of 3/4 inch gravel and the screening of 1,000 yards of winter sand. Okay, their proposal for crushing the gravel is $3.88 per ton, or $5.82 per cubic yard. Their total cost for approximately 6,000 cubic yards is $34,920. The sand screening is $2.38 per ton, $2.98 per cubic yard, for a total cost of $2,980.
What was the name of that outfit again, David?
Northeast Earth Mechanics.
Okay, I have,
Bear with me one
Sorry.
second, please.
not a problem.
Who's you doing?
I have CNC Trucking LLC.
Okay.
And we have a price of $6.50 per cubic yard, for a total of $39,000 for 6,000 cubic yards. And on sand screening, we have $5 per cubic yard, for a total of $5,000.
All set, David?
One second, please. Wow. This is sand. All set, Jay.
You got a bid from Custom Crushing, Meredith. They've got $3.35 per ton, or $4.85 per cubic yard. Total cost, approximate yield of 6,000 cubic yards is $29,100. And on the
Can you
sand,
repeat that one more time? I got $4.85 a cubic yard.
yes, and to crush 6,000 cubic yards, they've got a total of $29,100.
Okay.
And on the sand, it's $3 per cubic yard, for a total of $3,000. There is a little handwritten note on the bottom of this. It says the above bid price is subject to payment terms of payment within 10 days of completion and a submittal of all completed paperwork.
Okay, between Northeast Earth Mechanics and Custom Crushing, is a difference of 2 cents per yard on the screening for the sand. But the difference on the crushing is much more significant. Custom crushing is $4.85 and Northeast is $5.82.
Yeah, it's a difference of, $7,800 lower on custom crushing.
Yeah, so for, I think their total was approximately $37.9.
From Northeast, is that?
Mhm. From Northeast.
From Northeast would be
$37.9.
$37.9
Right,
for both, and custom crushing would be, 32.1.
right, that's what I came up with. What did I hear from you?
Oh, sorry, I said 5,000.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, that's, I was
Yeah.
like, what did I do wrong?
$5,800.
And then calls in there at roughly
CNC
44,000,
would have been 44.
Yeah,
around
so it's
44.
$5,800. Reversing my numbers, that's all.
So custom is
Yeah.
the low bid, but the little caveat at the end of this bid form, is that a concern?
Bear with me 1 second, Ken.
Sure.
What's the caveat at the bottom?
The above bid price is subject to payment terms of payment within 10 days of completion and submittal of all completed paperwork.
I wouldn't have an issue with that because we, let's see what we have here. I don't know if we have payment terms in the proposal that.
That's what I was just reading. I don't have anything in the first part of it.
In the proposal that went out, it said town shall make payment on account of, as follows, shall invoice the town for work completed after receipt of the contractor's invoice by the town, town's agent shall inspect the premises. Town will make payment on or within 30 days of the approved amount of the invoice. So I wouldn't have an issue, we normally run checks every week, so it's not, wouldn't be an issue, especially
For a discount of that amount.
Yeah.
I think it's, I mean, it's the same thing.
I wanted to bring it up because it's written on his bid,
Hey, Steve,
need to be aware.
there's one thing I was gonna, what about the insurance? Did anybody give the insurance certificates? or did
Well, they all, that's part of the bid proposals, they have to submit it upon execution of the contract.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Yes, I'm Jeff Andrews from Custom Crushing,
Oh,
and even though I've never worked for the town before,
Yeah.
but, I've been in business since 1984.
Yeah.
One of the original custom crushing companies within the state,
okay,
and we worked for Hutter, on 2 occasions when they did, Cabletron's world headquarters over in Rochester.
oh, you're going way back.
Well,
He's been around a while,
and Gary
apparently.
High School,
Oh,
and
yeah,
also we were the first ones to ever crush for the city of Claremont when Peter Goey was the public director there.
good,
So he can
Great.
speak to us. And we work for the town of Ware, and our price reflects that our crusher is in the town of Ware, and we did a town of Deering last year. And most of the time, we do a job, you turn in the bill, and they turn in the bill, they sign it, get it to the selectmen's meeting the next week or whatever, and they cut a check.
yeah,
That's,
Yeah.
and for, we're $5,000 cheaper, that's well worth 20 days. worth
You
of
got that
cash.
right.
Yeah.
So,
while you're here, what would be your timing, availability?
I think Peter said, or he said June first is what he's looking for.
Okay,
It'd be in that time frame, sometime in May. He has some concrete he wants to break up first.
yes, yeah, got lots of that.
Yeah.
What can you do with glass, anything?
He asked me, no, that's not worth it. And the amount of money that I saved you, if you wanted to spend, you know, the other, whatever, I would hold that price if you wanted to crush more. I don't know how much is in your budget, if you wanna do another 3,000 yards, I'd hold it for that price while I'm here.
Yeah, I did talk with Peter last week about making sure that we crush enough, because as we spoke last week or the week before, for paving timber top and filling in that low area,
Couple of spots.
I
that are
wanna
gonna
make
be
sure we
built
have
up,
enough
yeah.
material available. And as far as the glass goes, we can,
Oh, it was worth asking the question.
well, it's already crushed.
No, it's not all crushed.
Stuff that's down there in the back?
Just glass in general was my question.
Oh, okay. Any questions?
Breathing glass dust isn't worth any amount of money.
All right.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Oh, how do you go about awarding them then?
It's yours.
Oh, okay.
We'll issue a purchase order
Yeah.
for doing the work, and you'll need to submit the certificate of insurance,
Okay, great,
okay?
thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome, thank you.
Thank you so much.
You're not gonna stay?
I already saved you $5 grand.
6:10, you're late.
I guess a little.
All right. Rec deck and farmer's market.
All right. I don't know, I know I forwarded some emails to Joanne, but I don't remember if I forwarded everything, so I just sent it out and stuff.
Thank you.
Okay, so just starting out with the rec desk, it's a cloud-based software that rec departments use that's designed specifically for rec departments, that we could use for all of our sports registrations. I mean, name it, it can practically do it. It would help us be able to track our spending more efficiently. It would help us stop shuffling paper so much. Parents would be able to go online and register their kids for their sports rather than having to go to these multiple nights of registrations to hand in a paper form and pay us. They could do it from the comfort of their own home, which this day and age, people love that. And then half the time, people forget about the registration nights, and you're trying to track people down for the registrations and money and so on and so forth. I just, we got a couple of emails back from a few other recreation departments around us that use it. Ringe and Milford, for instance, they've been using it for a little while, and so they gave us some feedback on what they think about it. Also, the person I've been speaking with, Justin, he did mention that if, Sean and I already went online with him and did a long tutorial of what the software is all about and all the things it can do. But he said he'd be willing, if you guys were interested, he could do the same thing for you if you wanted to look at it more closely. But also, we'd be able to get a couple of months free to try it out to see if it really would work and help our programs and just help us in general. So that's a good starting point right there, just trying it out without any risk, really. But if we did like it, he gave us a quote for $2,940, which we would raise through the cost of program registrations. And there's also another way to raise the money. There's a way on the website that advertisers or businesses can purchase ad space, and it could pay for the cost of the website potentially. And I know one of the concerns might be, it's not its own separate website, I mean, it is, but it would be linked to our town website. So the only way people would be able to get to it is if they went to our website, went on the Parks and Rec page that already exists, and then, you know, if they wanna sign up for a program, like say they wanna register for soccer, they would click on a link on our rec page that would take them to the rec desk interface, I think is, I don't know, sorry.
And we can also upload all the forms for our volunteers as well, and the volunteers can go online and fill in those forms too, and it keeps track of everything.
We can personalize it, like, to however we need it, what questions we want on the forms. They'll work with us every step of the way to get it just so, you know, what we need, all the fields that we need. The reports that we could get are amazing. It would create team rosters. Coaches could use it, and you don't have to use it from one single computer like in the town office. Everybody, like the coaches that we would have, could log on from their homes and be able to contact all their parents from their teams with their team rosters right there and all of their team information right at their fingertips.
Are there levels to that access?
Oh, yeah, you
Okay.
can yeah, so like if a coach versus me, yeah, definitely,
'Cause
they
I-
can't.
Yeah,
Mhm.
we've just already seen the issues of people sending out stuff without it being checked first,
Mhm,
so,
yeah,
alright.
definitely.
And that's, I guess, one security feature to it, like we'd be able to include less information for coaches instead of having to give them a full like a copy
Right.
of a registration form and have all these papers floating everywhere with everybody's information on it. They would just be like the player's name, date of birth, like whatever they need for whatever league we're in to know that the kid's not too old, or emergency contact information.
And even, I know we're gonna be talking about the farmer's market. I mean, it's even something we could use for the farmer's market. Our vendors could register, for the farmer's market right online. Same thing, pay for their, space. Just, I mean, it's limitless. And I offered for, the pool, if they wanted to use it for their registrations. She's not interested at this time, but it's definitely something in the future. If she changed her mind, we could add pool, registrations for swim teams, swim lessons, you name it.
I was only suggested that to Nicole, cause if we're looking at a cost like this, for something that could handle many different things, the more you can use it for, the more valuable it is, the less it costs per department. So, I mean, I'm not saying, I don't wanna micromanage things, but at the same point, if this is something we wanna go forward with, and it can help things be more secure instead of, you know, people's personal information floating around on, you know, pieces of paper that are sitting in a file cabinet everywhere else. Again, I don't wanna micromanage.
Never heard of a filing cabinet be hacked though.
But, I mean, at the same point, I wouldn't have a problem making it a mandatory, for registering for things in our overall rec department. Meaning even,
Not to make it mandatory?
No,
or would make it
I would, if we're gonna spend money on something and it's available and useful and seamless across, meaning if a parent understands, I've registered my kid for soccer, I now know how to register them for basketball, I know how to register them for
Oh,
swim lessons, I know how to register them for this. I think it would just make more sense to put it across all windows instead of going, well, yeah, if you're doing this, you can go on rec desk, but if you're doing this, no, you gotta come down and fill out a piece of paper.
the other cool thing about it is once people get in there and they use it for the first time, they create like a login account. And so, once they register one of their children for a sport, that information, I believe stays in there, so it populates for them every time they log into their account. So it's easy for them, and if they don't wanna pay via credit card on the website, they can still register and then mail a check, and I can go back in later and say, I received the check, their invoice is paid. It'll tell me who's paid, who hasn't paid. If someone needs to create a payment plan, it works it all out for them, like if they have 4 kids and they can't pay $300 or whatever it may be all at once, the software can actually help them create a payment plan, and I don't have to track them down, and it will kinda do all that work for me,
Much more efficient.
much more efficient.
The only thing I haven't liked that I've heard about this whole conversation.
Is you gotta go on a computer.
Yeah,
No, that's not it. But you have to remember, not everybody owns a computer.
that's true.
But you said, you'd have to make it mandatory to sign up for something.
No, what I'm saying is, what I'm saying,
Use,
if we're gonna make it, what I'm saying is, where, okay, I'll just say, so the pool says, I don't wanna use it, we've come up with new paper forms this year. That's like saying a department in town, we're not using the town website, we're putting up flyers everywhere. Well, you can do that, but you're also gonna have the town website. This, I'm sure there's a thing where there's paper forms, and then they would give them to Nicole, and Nicole is the one who then types them in and registers them. So it's not a mandatory that they have to, I'm sure
Register
that
through that way,
register,
right.
like I said,
Yeah.
either they don't have it or they prefer not to, but because of this,
so
there's
you're
stuff.
saying mandatory depart.
Mandatory, make it mandatory for
Yes.
the pool.
You're saying the pool would have to use it?
Yes. I just look at it as if we're gonna, if this is something we wanna invest in, and like you said, we can make it easier for our townspeople, make it more, cost effective and everything else, and seamless, then why wouldn't we wanna use it in every department? That it makes
The
sense,
rec department, yeah.
right,
So I got a couple of questions. So I'm in the industry, I sell subscription software for security. That price, couple of things to think about to make an informed decision is that, what is the cost to add? You know, how are they pricing it? Is this an annual subscription for $2,900?
Annual.
Yeah, but what does that mean? Because if you start adding users, all of a sudden, is it a band of users? There's gonna be
Okay.
they have costs. They have storage costs, CPU costs, and they have to make sure.
It says here that it's all inclusive, no startup costs or additional fees for training and support.
Right, which is onboarding, but
Well, and
expansion.
for the
Right.
first $500,000 worth of
Yeah.
registration, so how
Okay,
much money
so-
you put through the system,
Right.
which we're not gonna come anywhere.
And the other thing too is, I tried, they don't have service, but we should ask for a SOC 2 compliance report.
A what?
SOC 2 compliance report. And what that means is that we would protect all the data in the cloud. And it's a very strict protocol to say that they've done all of the security that they need, and we can hold them to it. So it's SOC #2 compliance report. And that would give myself and I think everybody confidence that they're a legitimate business. And then the last thing is, if price is a concern, you can always throw out to the salespeople, like, well, see if we like it, we wanna go to a 3-year contract, you might be able to drop the price by, if it ever becomes a concern.
Well, now I'm gonna tell you what my concern is.
Okay.
It's a great idea, but it was never budgeted for.
Right, it would come out of the sports revolving,
And why do you think it can come out of the sports revolving?
because it's something that is being used to, it's already a revolving account, and I use it for all of the costs that go against those, the registrations. It's money being spent on the same program, you know what I mean?
The revolving account is supposed to be used to revolve money. So in other words, as an example, if you were starting a program, let's say pickleball, and you needed to buy equipment and advertise and whatever, you need money up front before your income starts coming in to cover those costs. So that's the purpose of that revolving fund. It revolves the money around. What you're asking for now is software to make that work easier or manageable, whatever. But it's not to run the program. It's not seed money to start that program. And that's what that money's supposed to be used for, is money coming in, money going out, so that in the end, it's not a cash account to say, oh, I've got this pool of money to work from. And that's what I've been really, trying to stay focused on when I'm signing off on all these invoices. And I'm saying, this really is not the right use of the account. There are things that should be budgeted, and then there are things that should be part of the revolving account. Now, and I thought it was what Mr. Summerall was gonna say, and I would put this out there, is you go back to the salesperson and say, look, this is great, we really like it, we wanna be able to use it, but we haven't budgeted for it. They may tell you, hey, use it for the next year, and then we'll
Yes,
put it in the budget and sign it up.
yeah, and that's a really easy, so it's like, hey, if you guys are giving us 2 months for free, that's great, but you gotta understand that we're not gonna be aligned to our cycle.
Yeah.
You can easily leverage that every day, all day.
And at least get it into your budget costs for next year.
But, like, each sport uses it, and we need it for each sport, and even going into soccer right now, it's a tool for the sport. It's kinda like how, like baseball, they're getting a couple extra porta potties for their season, cause they're not associated with us. We have our budgeted couple porta potties, but then like our other programs, they're paying for the additional porta potties that are needed for those programs specifically.
You lost me, so keep going.
Well, no, this all has to do with registration money and
But
all the
regist-
sports and people.
So I think what he's getting
Like
at
the
too is
funds
like,
would be raised through
when
the
we get our,
registration.
when we get
you
our
know.
additional porta potties down at the field, we pay for that out of soccer, like during soccer season, we need to pay for those out of the soccer.
Right,
Funds.
it's
So
money
that
that
comes out
you're
of
gonna
those.
get registration
Right.
for, and that money from your registration fees goes to pay porta potties, coaches,
And
whatever.
that's what we would do
And the
with
rec
this
desk
also.
is much the same, where each registration pays for this program
We're
to
gonna,
be able to do it.
What program couldn't run if you don't have rec desk?
All of them can be run,
Okay,
but they can all be run a lot more efficiently. And
less stressful.
not that we don't love this, but we have a lot of things that we want to do.
Yep.
And this would solidify that end of it for us, and then we'd be able
Sort
to
of
do more.
streamline.
I wholeheartedly agree with you
Yeah.
in that the software would help you. 110%. I know you need it, 110%.
Yeah.
But it doesn't fit the realm of what the revolving account was for. And I don't, know how these gentlemen here feel, but
So a concept discussion, let's throw an idea out there. So the way that I'm boiling the tool down, because it's like a software tool, it feels like it fits in the town IT budget. It doesn't even.
we don't have a town IT
There
budget.
is no town IT
No.
budget.
No.
Okay.
Each department, if it's software for that department, like, land plan, you know, they
Mhm.
have their, I shouldn't say their assessors, they have their software budget, it's in there.
Okay, so each different.
Yeah, the only thing that,
department.
and we have under the Board of Selectmen budget, any costs related to the server and and also the maintenance of it all, it falls under
It's
the
a maintenance.
BOS, yeah,
Sure.
yeah.
Okay, got it.
But, individual software goes to department. Like the fire
Okay.
department has theirs, the police have theirs.
Right, because it does have a multi-departmental benefit, like if there was some other scheduling or something.
I think the only one would be, as I think Jay and John was saying, was with the pool.
Unless
And
it was
because the
Memorial
pool-
Day sign-ups or something, just,
Yeah.
So, I guess conceptually, why make the base pay for a program when the people that are directly using the program will be paying for it? Isn't that a more, like instead of breaking out into the whole budget and making like the tax dollars pay for it, like the people using the programs are gonna be paying for it, it's a self-funded thing. You know, like see where it fits into, we're not trying to increase tax rates in town for all the stuff that we're doing.
And
But
this is
then the
where
people using
this is
the
where I
pro-
agree completely, is if it's being used for rec department, pool area, then the people that are using those amenities should be paying for it.
Correct,
I agree with you.
yeah, and it shouldn't actually go against like a total budget.
So then how would you allocate the cost between the two revolving funds?
Based on, I would say, number of, whether it be number of programs or number of those registered.
Mhm.
How do you come up with the original $3,000 to purchase it? You know, nobody's registered on it yet because we haven't been able to use it, yet we have to pay for it.
That's where you go to the company and you negotiate.
Well, that's where the revolving, like, to me, it's starting up a program, like, for all the programs to use,
Mm.
and it's a perfect, like, it fits perfectly.
If you
Into that
use
model.
that scenario,
Yep.
what would go in the recreation budget for the town?
Can do everything through
I think
revolving.
everything's been trying, like, we've been trying to not, like, increase Ringe's budget. I don't know the exact number, it's $250,000, like, against their town. We don't do that. We have the people using the programs pay for the programs, and our general budget is very low. So if, like,
Yeah.
it's two different philosophies to
Really, half of
things.
the budget is
So
by
if you wanted to
stipend.
go all the way
Mhm.
the other
I
way.
think what happens with Ringe, and you guys can probably know better than I do, but I suspect they don't have a revolving fund that keeps any amount of monies in it. They put it all into their town budget, and all of their revenues are recognized as revenues.
It just comes out of it.
So it's done either via the revolving fund, or you bring it up.
Personally, I like our system better,
Yeah.
because, yeah, it's the people using it that are paying for it.
You
And then
do.
also, we're also doing other things, for free of charge,
Yeah.
that benefit from, like, the sports programs and stuff too,
Mhm.
so.
What do you mean?
Like, well, like the pickleball, we don't charge for that, you know, or different other things, so.
Are you talking just sports, cause it,
Well,
you know, like
sports,
the egg
Easter,
hunt,
egg
for
hunt,
free,
Yeah,
But
fishing
see,
derbies.
you have
or-
no cost associated with that pickleball,
Well, yeah, we do, because we had to get equipment.
so then there should have been a charge associated with that, because that's how that revolving fund's supposed to work. Just,
and that,
it's
well,
supposed to be
I
like net
misspoke on
zero.
pickleball, 'cause I
Yeah.
believe the
Yeah.
pickleball was
It's out of
the
adult
adult,
rec,
the adult
that
rec
is a
program, I
budget
forgot
item.
about
Yeah,
that,
yeah.
Mhm.
So, and that's why, you know, the base is paying for that, and it should be free.
Yeah.
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 Is the budget line item required to enter into a contract with them, even if they were to give us like the first 10 months until the next budget cycle for free? Do we need the budget item, the budget to include that before going
If there's
forward?
no cost to it, then there's no cost.
Okay, so only when there's money.
When there's
back and
money
forth.
that you need the budget line item for it.
Okay.
That's why I was saying,
Cause I'm
if-
working with you on what you're saying, and I
Yeah.
think that there's enough leverage there, but then there'd have to be some kind of money transacted in order for them to do an annual contract, I would imagine.
Mhm. Probably.
I'm thinking we're in, you're talking a 7-month
Mhm.
freebie in lieu of a 2-month? Is that what he had offered to you?
Yeah, like 2 or
Yeah.
3 months free.
But
And
then,
then you,
it's still two different philosophies entirely, where you're asking the base to pick up the tab versus the people using it.
mhm.
And if there was a fundraiser for the first year costs, and somebody just like landed a check on the table, how does that work?
Well, there's a donation made for a specific purpose, that's what the monies need to be spent on, is that?
Yeah, I've never had that luxury yet, so.
Yeah. Well, you can't-
Throwing it out there.
I mean,
It's more like I'm optimism.
I mean, if somebody committed,
But
we couldn't spend
Like,
it
for
on anything
instance-
other than what the
No.
person designated the money to be spent.
I'm trying to think,
Perhaps if I sold the business space as advertising, and that covered it,
I kind of frown on that stuff.
yeah.
But, I'm trying to think, when we did get a donation from someone to buy that
The
batting
softball
cage,
stuff.
Right.
whatever it was,
Last
the
year.
And that's,
net.
and that's, it was a money in, money out thing.
Yeah.
It came in,
Yeah.
and then
Yeah.
I don't think you'll find any of us that are opposed to this, it's just a matter of how do we go about funding it and doing it the right way, I think
Yeah.
is the,
That's the only thing, is
Yeah.
that, you know, and I really wanna stress is that it's, as much as it works out great to have an account there with money in it and think of it as a savings account, but it's really supposed to be money in, money out, so that at some point in time, you could almost say, well, it's not zero, but it's, you know, when we get our registration fees, then it'll be back up,
Right.
and then not,
Yeah, we're not operating like that close to like a 0 point. And
Right.
I don't think it's like good to be
I agree,
at
not-
zero, or even
and
go
that
into,
was a bad example.
or dip into the negative and then hope that you make it back.
Mhm.
Like that's not,
But we can't dip into the negative.
no,
No.
exactly.
Mm.
So it's kind of,
And the registration fee, like if that's the route we had to go, it would only go up between $5 and $7 per player. And that's just for like just the sports, I mean, so then you kinda, if you were to add, you know, we could bring up some of our other program costs a little to kind of, you know, defray some of the costs, you know what I mean, just to kinda,
Mhm.
but
Offset
every
it.
program uses it, and only the people using the program should have to pay for it.
yeah.
And the only way I can think to do that is through that revolving, because we get direct registration, we collect fees and put it into that account.
Mhm.
So why wouldn't that account be used to pay for something that's gonna, you know, benefit
Benefit.
everybody?
Yeah, cause,
Give me 1 minute.
yeah, cause that's,
Because we'll essentially be taking money out and then be putting money back
Right.
in.
that's similar, that's it's like the mealtime system that the school uses for its lunch programs.
Mhm.
The school basically has the opportunity to make that so when people use their debit cards on it, the school has the opportunity to make that, whether it be 0, 10, 5, whatever, how much or percentage of the transaction fee. And what that does is that actually does go to pay for that. So the transaction fee goes to pay for the ability to use that website.
Gotcha, yeah.
So it's a
Yeah.
very similar thing, but it's, you know, it pays for that. But at the same point, the school does kind of pay it up front.
You know, they back
And then,
it.
and then it's, yeah, they back it and then it's then trickled back into, but, you know, the difference being is that in the school budget for that, that food service budget is broken out. And it's, so the website is part of that,
Yeah.
but.
To that point, is rec desk used to the school, the school surveying?
No,
No.
not that I'm aware of, I'm not sure.
No, it's geared specifically
Towards
towards recreation.
recreation.
The market is-
Yeah.
Good.
what was I reading?
There was something else I was gonna add. I don't remember. And just even the scheduling,
That paragraph, I underlined that.
scheduling like field space even,
That's the thing I'm reading on here.
Oh, you got it online, oh,
Yeah.
But the print's bigger on that. Look at
Yeah,
him go.
see?
Look at him just
That's why
flying
I'm
through
looking
it.
this
I
way.
know.
Going for the sale.
Yeah, that, I take that as referees, coaches that get paid, that there. But I'm trying to see if there's something
Yeah, that's
that,
not how I read it, but I guess it's a matter of interpretation.
Jay, it's in this area here that I was referring to.
We have soccer season registrations, like, about to kick off here in the next couple of weeks, and this would be a great way to kind of really test it out, cause it's one of our bigger things that we register for. We could even have, well, I don't know if we could do it this year, but like if people wanted to pre-register for the fishing derby.
See what it says, thus coaches can be trained, programs may be advertised,
Yeah.
and supplies can be ordered in bulk before the program actually begins.
What is that you have there?
This is an article that the New Hampshire Municipal Association put out explaining the recreation revolving fund,
Oh,
okay?
okay.
And I'll read a quick thing if you can bear with me. The question is, how is the recreation revolving fund created? Then why is it such a useful tool? I'll skip the part about how they're created because we already have that. This means that officials responsible for recreation can confidently plan the programs they wish to offer and have access to a source of cash to pay for items that are needed in advance. Thus, coaches can be trained, programs may be advertised, and supplies can be ordered in bulk before the program actually begins. Without such a fund, there is always a possibility that money might not be appropriated for the programs during the annual budget process, or that the appropriations will be either too small to support a popular program, or too large to support a program that proves to be less popular than expected. If supplies could not be ordered in advance, it is possible that a program such as youth baseball might begin without any baseballs, bats, or protective equipment available. And that's what's always been in my mind, is it's feeding that sport. I'm trying to say, well, can we extrapolate even further and say, well, this software is part of that planning to get the programs going?
The program's already there,
Mhm.
and we're just trying to make it easier to implement, so it's,
I can tell you that we're selling software as a means to enable outcomes. And that's the way that the whole global business world is looking at it. They're like, we don't really care if it's Google Sheets or Office 365 or Excel or VisiCalc, we need spreadsheets, because spreadsheets are basis of business. This proposal is just, we need to be able to communicate in an effective and
Right.
efficient way
Mhm.
that's up to speed.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not a physical baseball, but
Mhm.
it is a communication tool, it's a tool.
Mm-hmm.
And the outcome is gonna be a tighter community, and it's an initial investment, so,
And the more time that they have to do, or the less time that they have to do on that paperwork, the more things they can do.
mhm.
which is exactly the burnout of volunteerism,
Mhm.
no longer
definitely.
rec.
And actually,
So,
another
That's a-
thing that I just thought of as well, like if he's giving us, like 2 to 3 months free, and we have, registrations for soccer coming up, we could already increase that,
yeah,
registration fee to immediately cover, you know,
And-
part of the cost anyway.
and just so you know, for your leverage, when you're talking with them, we will discount up to 50-75% in order to establish a subscription.
Yeah.
And then just say, hey, next year we'll pay in full, but it's worth their money to get us hooked,
Yeah.
basically.
Yeah.
So you guys have a lot of leverage when you work with Justin.
And that's what I'm just thinking now, is if, you could do it with them, that you get at least the 2 months up front, then you would be down to 5 months for the balance of the year.
Oh, and make it run like January
Yeah, because
to
our
December.
fiscal budget goes January to December.
Mhm.
So now, rather than 25 or 27,
Yeah,
whatever
break
it
it
was,
down.
you're
like
less
that.
than, you'd be less than half of that.
Mhm. Mhm.
If it's a young company, we'll do it. 'Cause we used to do all kinds of unusual things like that. It's
Mhm.
whatever it took to get the sale.
Mhm.
So you should be able to exploit that.
Yeah.
So can we leave it that, we'll leave it in your court right now?
Okay.
So I'll go and start the
What's your
free
thought?
trial.
I would bridge first. I would
Yeah.
work the deal first.
And I'll work,
Yeah.
I'll do that also.
See what kind of deal they can work and have them come back to us, is that what you're thinking? I really don't care to leave it open-ended.
You mentioned about increasing fees, which to me, I would like to discourage that, but if you did,
Mhm.
what kind of money are we talking about?
So we were looking at in between $5 and $7 per player registration.
The current fee is approximately,
$50 for like
Oh,
pretty much
50.
across the board for most of our sports programs, but some of them pay a little more. Like cheer is $75 because there's less participation. I raised softball up this year from 50 for our older teams to $65, but I kept the little ones $50 so it wouldn't discourage. But nobody's batted an eye at paying 75 and 65. It's still really cheap compared to what is going on around us in the bigger cities and in Massachusetts and so forth.
Well, even the smaller towns, Antrim's all the way up near $100, I think, for
Really?
softball registrations per
Yeah.
kid.
You know,
Jaffrey, Ringe,
so we're still
Like
really on the
85.
low end.
and we're,
We could avoid raising the cost of the registration, I'd like to. I mean,
yeah,
it's a pay-as-you-go kind of thing, but still, at the same time, we gotta keep that in mind that, I mean, somebody's got 4 or 5 kids and they're playing 3 or 4 sports.
Right,
yeah.
Can become a lot of money, so it's,
which is like I mentioned, and I agree with you, but also, you know, with this software, it helps them to be able to budget it out and make a payment plan also. Without having to necessarily, like I'm always shuffling through the paperwork, I usually keep things separated, like who's paid, who hasn't paid, and
So they run the payment, they run
Why
the
couldn't we
business side of
use
it, they pay payments for the registration?
Yeah,
What
like-
does it cost
That's
to
why.
us? What's their
I was looking at
surcharge?
this here.
they, like the
what was left?
person,
Gone.
like it's their credit card
What's
processing.
it charge from the company, rec desk to us?
That's
Is it
the problem.
It's-
Zero
it's
up
all-
to the first 500,000.
Oh, yeah,
Up
up
to
to
the
the
first
first 500,000
$500,000,
in
like, per year.
we don't
Yeah.
have
Per
those
year.
in the account.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's just what they have this year.
It says, if it goes over 500,000,
idea?
it will be assessed, a 0.75% transaction fee billed quarterly. But I highly doubt we'll get over 500,000 in income, so I'm not that concerned about that.
If you do.
Yeah, if you do, I don't think rec desk is an issue anymore, yeah.
We can look at that as a goal.
Yeah, if you got that kind of participation,
That would be
they can be fine.
fantastic.
I guess the question I would pose is, do you think the use of the revolving fund is warranted for the purchase of that software?
Not according to this.
John?
I guess I have a different interpretation of it, but, only cause again, I look at it as a, you know, a tool to operate the program.
See, I'm reading, and at first I was saying, no, it's not. I'm trying to keep an open mind here.
As a
But
mine.
if you go to the question
If
where
you
they
read that
ask
question.
on this, item, why would a legislative body decide to take money from the recreation revolving fund? the answer, remember that the money placed into the fund is the amount paid by users to participate in recreation programs. Users normally expect that the amount they pay will be used to cover the variable costs of the program, such as supplies and something extra to administer the program.
So this is something
That sounds
extra.
like.
And
Well,
that's
and that's where I'm
what
at.
I'm
Sounds
kinda
like it
saying,
could.
well,
That's why I
more
underlined
to
it.
administer the program, maybe
Well,
to,
cause coaches can use it and access rosters and schedules and field, schedules.
And it is all a matter of interpretation.
yeah.
Like I said,
If
yeah.
somebody interpreted it that way, doesn't mean they were right.
Well, usually when they tell me something, I go by what they,
But again, it's a,
Yeah,
It's
'cause I look
my
at it as
best
it's,
advice.
you know, like I said, supplies and
well, that's why I underlined the
items
extra
to administer
here.
the program, you
Extra
know?
to administer the program, that's what got my attention.
Yeah.
But if you read through the whole thing, you gotta go, you know.
Well, I mean, I guess I mean, I would look at it as, so if you, say even something as simple as, well, how much paper did you use last year? Okay, so we ran these 5 programs and we used 400 reams of paper. But this year, we're adding another program. I need another 2 reams of paper, you know, well, we didn't budget for those 2 reams of paper. Well, the program won't cost us anything extra besides the 2 reams of paper. Do you pay for those out of a revolving because it's to start the program up? Because you need red paper registration forms. Well, this is in lieu of paper registration forms. So it's something to administer the
but we
program.
got plenty of paper, so I don't understand.
I don't know. Well, do we?
Well, we need to
Well,
be more
do we
urban
ever-
and eco-friendly.
Yeah,
Yeah, let's not.
I know. Yeah, so I think it is something, I look at it as a tool to make the program work, administer the program. But I would like to see it used as much as possible to make it valuable to the town in multiple things. And like you said, once a parent, again, much like the program I use at school, if a parent goes in and their first kid goes into first grade and they register for the program and they're in, then the next child comes up, they don't have to rebuild an account, they add a student. And then the third kid comes up, or however it is, you know, and you can have, it doesn't even have to be your child, if you have, you know, your grandchildren, your whatever, and you have a grandmother who's willing to take care of the account, she can have all her grandchildren under one account. I think, again, that makes it simpler than sitting there and having mom and dad fill out this form for one kid and repeat that 6 times.
Yeah.
Because currently, that's what they have to do. If they have 4,
Yeah.
every year, every kid,
program.
every year,
How many times a year? Because they go to multiple different programs.
right, and they all, this coach gets this stack of paper, so all mom's stuff has to be on that, or dad's stuff has to be on that. And then the same thing for this one, and they're all in different grade levels.
Yeah.
This simplifies the program, and I would like to see that, if we're gonna use it, let's use it in as much different formats as we can and make it work. So again, if we, you know, in the next discussion, if it can be used to register tables,
Mhm.
I don't know where we stand on that. David got some other information. I know Joanne did too.
Okay.
But it's one of those things, if that can be used just as easily to register tables for a farmer's market or vendors for a fall fest,
Exactly.
you know what? Then we use it, and that helps offset that cost as well. So then you find out the next year, you know what? $7 was too much.
Mhm.
Let's drop it. You know how happy people are when you cut prices?
Yeah.
You know, so I look at it as if we can make it work, then let's make it work, and then the next year we find out, hey, because that's the one thing I did read, is people expect there to be some sort of surplus, but when the surplus gets too much,
Yeah.
they're gonna question, why is it so high?
Yep.
Then you know what, we can cut back and make it work differently. So I'm personally in favor of allowing the funds to be used. to start this program.
But I would say,
Do your
A-
homework.
yes, that's without saying. But, get the costs for the balance of the year,
After the free trial.
after free trial, and at least take that free trial time
Mm-hmm,
to see whether this is really going to work for it. Because
okay,
that backup that you provided, I think it was from Milford,
mm-hmm,
indicated it took them almost 2 months before they went live with it. So I don't know how well you're gonna be able to know whether this is really gonna work on a 2-month trial basis, because Milford, I'm sure, has much more
yeah,
personnel staff working on getting this up and running than what you're going to have.
right,
But at the same time, the programs are larger and they may have more forms than what we have
mm,
to put in and,
It may well be,
yeah,
but I would
Yeah.
try and see if you could probably even get a little more free time
okay,
in order to get it up and running and see if you
Yeah.
really think it's going to.
yeah.
It sounds like it will work, so it's,
I'd like to see cost kept to a minimum when it comes to people that are gonna use it. I think $7 is a lot of money.
well, you won't be adding anything on, correct?
if you don't want us to add anything, we won't
I
add
wouldn't.
anything.
Add it at this time.
We'll just
If we
evaluate it at the
go-
end of the year.
Yeah, and look
Right,
at
that
it
would
and
be
say,
my
okay,
take
if
on it.
your rec program runs 1,000 kids through different items and the pool has, 500, then we can say, hey, maybe $1,
Mhm.
more or whatever, but
Right,
I'm shocked that it costs a kid $75 or something to play Little League Baseball, but
Oh,
then again,
yeah.
I'm not,
yeah,
I'm used to, didn't cost me anything.
that's pretty cheap,
Yeah.
that's actually pretty
So-
cheap,
Things have changed.
yeah.
That's when the
Well,
balls
that's
were
where-
square, but.
I think that's where some of the change came from, where, like I said, the town picking up the bigger part of the
I
bill
think they
and
called it
keeping the
rounders back
registrations
then.
artificially low.
Yeah.
Like, we're in the format where people pay for what their kids are doing,
Yeah,
yeah.
okay. Farmers market?
Farmers market. So I know there were still some questions about that, and I'm not sure where we're at right now.
But we were waiting for you to show up.
That was part of it. That was.
You were, I'm here.
We were out in the
We're on
Caribbean
vacation.
somewhere.
Oh,
or
is
something.
that what it was? I went on vacation, I'm sorry. I'll try not to let that happen again. Don't believe a word of that.
So,
I thought we had,
I thought, I
well,
don't,
why don't you tell me what your plan is,
Well-
cause I thought it was already done deal. Weren't you gonna do it here on the town?
that's what I wanted to just
well,
double,
we were waiting for an official vote.
yeah, we were waiting for an
like the
official,
okay.
cause I know,
When did we, was it just you I talked to about it? No, you were in the
I
office.
was there
You
too.
were in the
We
office.
did as a
We
group,
didn't as a board,
right,
to
okay.
take it back under the rec.
So is the vote to where we're gonna locate it, or to put it back under the umbrella of rec?
I guess
I'd
it's
say
to,
both.
both,
Yeah.
but now, my understanding, and someone correct me if I'm wrong, the only reason why you needed to go under the rec is because of the town's insurance. Is that correct?
No.
No?
Beth and Tim have been working on it for a number of years, and Beth had indicated to us that she's burnt out from it, and we don't want it to see it go away.
Okay.
And,
And they weren't doing anything anyway, so.
yeah,
yeah,
They are, but
yeah. We talked, yeah, we talked, and it just seemed,
negotiated,
the farmer's market needs the
needs to
backing,
continue,
yeah,
yeah,
like,
okay.
of the town,
Okay.
like, to help be successful.
Mhm.
And
Okay.
like to keep the cost low for the farmers that come to utilize the market, and to try to grow that part of the community.
No, I think
Yeah.
it's a great thing to have.
David, you're right on the financial side of it, is that it was a personal donation that we made to the town, essentially, to cover the insurance and claw and scratch to get the registration and whatnot, to get that covered, so. That kind of facilitates everything, because then the money that does generate it, then we can put our heads together and use that for advertising and signs,
Yep.
and then everything
Other
kind of balances
aspects.
out from a cash in, cash out perspective.
Mhm.
then you were gonna do it out in the
So that's what
parking
we
lot.
were thinking about, it sounded like was the most ideal location. Joanne had spoken with the chief and he didn't like the idea of it being at the field again. That I think this sounded like the best, most logical
Yeah.
next option.
I spoke with the chief, I don't know if he was so opposed to it not being at the field, but I believe he was opposed to it being located where it was, by the swing sets, and in that general area, he said it's
Yeah.
just too much going on in such a tight space.
Yeah,
I thought alongside Playground Road was a good spot, am I wrong? Is that,
yeah.
because there's plenty of parking there, but,
Well,
Yeah, but you
not
can't-
if you
but you
have all
can't-
the sports going on at
Right.
the
Yeah.
same time, like you have
Yeah.
baseball season,
Yeah.
soccer season, it gets really clogged up down there very easily just with that.
Mhm.
And then,
Drainage
yeah.
issue and wet times is a
Yeah.
potholes.
Yeah, and it's
Lots-
there,
lots
yeah,
of
and
safety.
and then if you think if that's where they're actually setting up
Yeah.
the market, then you have no parking.
no, across the street,
That's,
there's
that's
parking.
not necessarily true that.
Yeah, there's
You can
parking
park
across
on
the
the
street.
side of
there's
the road,
parking,
yeah.
but it is,
All
it
up
doesn't
Playground Road on
drain,
the right-hand
like the
side.
drainage part is
Yeah,
very
but-
true. If
But
you went
yeah,
down
like
there
I said,
today,
then
it's
as soon as you have
pond.
sports, that's all gone too.
I think the good reason to have it here is we have the green center open on Saturday.
That, yeah, that was
And
one of my thoughts.
there's the traffic.
Is it open Saturday? Sorry.
I don't get it, why don't you, well, what do you mean? The traffic you have on 124 is gonna be greater than what we have on,
Yes,
Yes,
Temple Road.
definitely.
exactly,
Yeah.
So.
yeah, it makes sense.
Mr.
I have a
Kotze.
question, you guys went, the farmer's market went up to the mall, and you seem to do great up there. You wanna go back to the ball field?
No, we wanna go to the parking lot.
You think that would be better than,
They charge them rent up at the,
oh, okay.
that was not out of the kindness of their heart
Yeah.
up
No,
there.
It was,
I didn't know
any,
that.
any of the money left over went to the
Yeah,
landlord.
I just wondered if you guys weren't happy, you seemed to
No,
have
it was
plenty
good.
of
We
parking.
liked it, but we had to pay for a $500 liability insurance.
Wow.
And then we had to pay rent to the owners
Oh,
too.
yeah, okay, I can see your reason. It seemed like it was,
It
No,
does.
it's
doing
a
good
perfect,
up there.
it's a
Sure.
perfect visibility, cause you got
Right.
people going to the dump, they come back on the way back.
Sure, people going to the post office.
Post office, they go and get a cup of coffee, they go to
Yeah.
Hoppies, get their cigarettes or whatever, and then
Yeah.
it's perfect.
yeah.
But,
It costs money to do it.
but the economics are, the cash flow for a farmer's market for a year for the organizers like us was about $1,000.
Yeah.
And it's not a lot of cash there.
Yeah, I didn't realize
us.
they
See,
charged you.
my concern is here though,
Yeah.
you're gonna have it on that side of the
Well,
driveway.
the town's gonna
That's
charge
what I
you
wanted
more
to go
here.
about.
Right.
Oh, that's a tough one.
There's traffic across
All right,
there.
let's get back to this meeting.
All right,
Okay, one of the things we did talk about
Mhm.
when you were in the office is that if we have the, participants setting up in the parking lot, that the area from where the island is up would have some type of cordoned area, whether it's, an orange temporary fence, yellow caution tape, just because of traffic that will be going down to the green center. And I think someone, did you say it, somebody liked being back here so they could put stakes in the ground for their canopies or whatever.
Oh, that was mentioned, to be
Okay.
able to, yeah,
Well, I would think if they, and maybe one of you guys can have better memory than me, but I think on the other side of that parking as you're going down, is that gravel?
That's all pavement,
Yeah.
until
Right
you,
up to the-
until you get beyond building
Okay.
2.
Okay.
A lot of farmers markets are on pavement, and there's just a
So it
different
should be
setup,
alright.
they use, weighted like milk jugs. to hold the
Sandbags,
can-
sure.
Yeah,
And weights.
Not a problem?
the only
Okay.
problem is heat, you get, on hot days, you get heat coming off the pavement, it's not as
Yeah.
pleasant, but.
Well, that's in the shade.
yeah. So it
Yeah,
should
you
be
know, I'm
okay.
glad, I'm glad.
Thank
My,
you.
Wasn't
my
mentioned
concern
down
still
there.
is though, if they're gonna be in that lower parking lot where we're gonna set up the canopies.
Yep.
And the people that are part of the farmer's market are gonna be parked over here.
That's what it
People-
seems like,
people-
or even just below. like
People
this
using the
area.
farmer's market will be parked over here as well, right?
Mhm,
Well,
mhm.
And then
a
we
lot
got,
of the vendors, like if they can, they'd ideally just pull up their pickup truck or whatever, set
Oh,
up the canopy from behind it,
Yeah.
and then they'd be in that cordoned off area.
My
for
concern
duration
is-
of the-
if people that are going to the farmer's market are parking over here, and we've got 80 cars coming out of the green center, cause I'm absolutely amazed by the amount of people that use that.
Mhm.
I'm concerned about pedestrian traffic and people coming in and out to get down back, that's one of my concerns.
That's how I'm saying, from where that island is, that divides that
Mhm.
parking, all the way up to the island at the entrance
Mhm.
would be either an orange fence or.
Yeah, but they still gotta get from here to there.
Oh, yes, yeah,
That's my concern.
The other
I don't know,
suggestion,
people
no
walk
different
in
than
parking
crossing the
lots
street.
every day, don't
Yeah.
they? when
They
go
do,
to the
they do, but
grocery
it's
store?
more of a throughway than it is a parking lot.
the other
Yeah.
suggestion was to put it between these two buildings.
Yeah, then you lose your visibility.
Yeah.
That's- that's all.
Yeah.
Can you make that orange that orange fence like a walking corridor between use a part of the,
we're saying, if you park down here and you're gonna walk over there,
yeah,
you're gonna cross that drive.
you're gonna cross the drive, but then if you can walk between the fence and the.
Like if we put the fence out like 3 feet,
I mean,
Tim, you're thinking,
if you
like
could
at
just
that point.
get people in the habit of parking
Yeah.
over there.
Oh,
Yeah.
I see what
You know what I
you're
mean, on the
saying,
same
instead
side,
of-
and then-
instead- so no parking over here.
No, I'm not saying don't park
Oh,
here, I'm just
oh.
saying try to get people in the habit of.
Just keep it on that other
Yeah,
side.
kinda, yeah.
let's-
Yeah.
Even if you, just a sign that says, you know,
Right.
farmer's market parking,
Park here.
so trying
Just-
to get them on that,
In that other corner.
Right.
I'm not saying
So they-
anybody's
so they
gonna get
drop
run
down
over,
and
but
go-
I don't want to.
Gotcha.
And then when they
Okay.
walk, they're just coming around.
Right,
and
they're just coming
inside
around the
that
island.
Orange fence.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or a sign at the entrance, drive slow, people crossing.
Yeah, you know,
Walking.
anything like that, I'm
Yeah.
just, I don't wanna
I agree
set
with you.
anybody
Yeah.
up.
Yeah,
And that could probably come out of a revolving account.
okay.
Good, cause we were planning on it.
So, it sounds like it's going over in that parking lot.
I have a question though too, another question. What are the chances that we might have access to electricity if we did it here? Is that a possibility?
Some vendors require, or don't require, but they'd like electricity to heat things up.
Yeah, and you
They have
kind
like
of,
samples.
yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
now we're gonna put
I-
running water out.
no, I'd
Yeah.
say those people should be bringing their
Right,
camp
or
stoves
generators.
or
Okay.
Yeah,
something like
Generator.
that.
That's
Yeah.
fine.
Okay,
yeah,
okay.
I mean, it doesn't hurt to ask. but-
Yeah, cause you're gonna have cords
What if
running
I,
across the
what if I
driveway.
provided a generator?
Oh,
You're gonna drive your
personally
people
provide a
away.
generator, or are you gonna get it out of
Why
the
can't they
revolving
make
fund?
generators that are less loud?
There are, you
We'll
can
get
buy a,
solar panels, how's that?
you can
Okay,
buy a Honda
alright.
Run Quiet for
Well,
about,
cause it just, it stinks, cause there's
$3,800.
like even, I don't know if you guys heard of Trio Coffee. I was talking to them and
Yes.
that's one of the things that keeps them from doing our farmer's market or anything sort of outdoorsy farmer's market is the lack of electricity and the.
Honda makes it
Iced,
generator.
iced,
Generator.
iced coffee is super easy without
Yeah.
electricity.
Well, they
There
do
you go.
crazy, awesome espresso.
Alright, you're kinda derailing
Sorry,
the
sorry.
conversation here.
Sorry.
She likes-
And-
she
well,
likes
no, cause
coffee.
they grind the beans
We
and
were winning,
everything right
we were
there.
winning.
Alright.
Yeah, don't
We
sell
were
fast
winning.
and close.
I don't know, she was talking coffee, you had me going now.
Yeah.
I was thinking we could have the highway dig a trench, we could run a conduit
Yeah,
over there.
there's,
Let's do that.
my grandmother lived to be almost in her 90s and she ground her coffee by hand.
Yeah.
My parents still have the grinder.
Oh,
For
God.
42 turns
Nice for a pot of coffee.
for a pot of coffee, 42 turns, and it's awesome.
Okay,
So they got no excuse.
alright, I love
So
it.
do we wanna
Take
vote
that in
on
hand
the
grinder.
farmer's market coming under the umbrella of the rec?
You can put forth a.
I'll make a motion to allow the farmer's market to now become part of the recreation department's.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank
Make a
you.
motion to allow the farmer's market recreation department to use the parking lot here. Didn't we also wanna discuss that? Is that
Correct.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
We're
I'd
gonna
like to put a motion that we're not gonna put a conduit through the parking lot.
Yeah, there's no conduit going in.
Would you
Yeah.
like,
Next year's warrant article.
what's that? Yeah.
Next year's warrant article. Thank you guys.
Well, if we do what we're thinking of
Exactly,
doing
there
up
you
here,
go,
we
you know,
can- yeah,
you
we
can-
can add that into the
yeah,
selling
we'll just-
points of, yeah,
Exactly.
proposal.
We part of the new police thing.
Yeah.
Make it
Yeah,
all part of the new facility. We'll make sure you have.
yeah.
There you go.
Sure.
How is, participation in the farmer's market expected?
As far as vendors,
Yeah.
so Beth has, her list of vendors that she's used previously,
Mm-hmm.
and, you know, we'll just reach out to all of them, and we've been kind of networking with some of the other, local farmers markets. We've gotten a couple of business cards, and we're part of a bunch of, couple of different,
associations, the New Hampshire Farmers Market Association, they help us. Wendy Stevens is the president of it. She has met both of them. She's more than willing to.
Will Mrs. Hughes be there with her chocolate babka? That's my only question.
Hopefully, yeah.
That's a good point.
Yeah, because if I will change my vote if there is no chocolate babka.
Oh, well,
It's a good thing it was 3-0, 2-1 was so fast.
But to your point, the business of it, right? So the business, if you get like an anchor vendors, like Kathy Houston,
Yeah.
right? Or there's a couple meat vendors, you get anchor vendors, and you get about 6 of them.
And Best Brothers Bakery wants
Best
to do
Brothers
it.
Bakery, so then you get anchor vendors that motivate people to go, and that's what we're really strong in. You
Yeah.
have people
Can
like
outroll
Sawmill
that
Maple.
Best Brothers Bakery, that sounds good.
Let's
It
hope we
is
get
good.
that.
It's all gluten free.
Oh, we'll get there,
I
cause we're
don't
not
care
gonna get
about
many
gluten.
vendors.
That doesn't have
Lots
no
of people
impact.
do.
Good.
If it tastes good, that's all I.
Yeah, and last year I would say anecdotally, we didn't do a ticker on it, but we had between 35 and probably 120 customers any given weekend, so it kind of fluctuated up. and
Does
down.
that new business go to the farmer's market, the guys that do the chocolate?
They might.
No, they haven't,
Oh,
right?
they have.
Whirlpool across the street.
He
Yeah.
he doesn't do it because he says there's no way to, keep the chocolate from melting at
Oh.
farmers markets.
Yeah, that's the
Electricity.
tough part.
Yeah,
Yeah, he needs a refrigerator.
it's too much hot air.
Are you looking?
Now we're not getting along.
Alright, we set?
I think we're all set.
We're good.
Thank you all.
Thank you.
Thank
You're
you.
welcome.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You guys are my favorite.
Today.
Yeah.
Thank you. Have a good night.
Yeah,
You
you
too.
too, thanks.
Look at that, Dave, they all leave, you're the only short person that stays.
Fourth selectman.
Well, I thought it was going into non-public, or I'd hang out.
No, no,
Yeah,
yeah.
we still got a couple other things to go,
We're gonna
just have a seat.
Couple other items.
Interesting. My entertainment,
I feel bad for you, Dave.
better than watching The Voice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So is that what Mrs. Cotson's doing, watching The Voice?
No, she's cleaning Lucy's apartment.
Oh,
No.
yeah.
Westbrook
Westbrook?
Drive.
Mm-hmm.
We went at the walkthrough on Saturday, and I would like to have Joanne draft a letter outlining the items that we saw that we indicated would need to be corrected before the town would consider accepting the road.
Mm-hmm.
First item was all the pavement would need, all of the cracks in the pavement would need to be crack sealed.
Got some chips here.
The
Oh, we'll go there in a minute.
shoulder, the left-hand shoulder of the road where there was some scrub brush that would interfere with the drainage swale would need to be removed.
Just up from, wasn't there the electrical box, or telephone?
Up from the transformer,
Yeah,
yeah. The mailboxes that are at the edge of pavement would need to be relocated to be a minimum of 2 feet off the face of the edge of pavement.
Are
To
you
the
using the
mailbox.
post or the
Mailbox.
face of the mailbox?
Face of the mailbox to the edge of pavement. The post and rail fence at the cul-de-sac would have to be relocated out of the right-of-way. The edge of pavement where it has eroded the gravel would either need to be backed up with crushed gravel or with crushed stone.
That was on that one side where it kinda went down the hill before it
It was
swooped over.
where it,
There was a few
you know, the edge
spots.
of the
Yeah.
pavement and it
Yeah.
went, yeah, I think I remember on both sides of the
Yeah,
road.
yeah, cause we were looking and you could tell right away that that's where the water's gonna flow and just take out that side.
and then the, piles of soil materials would need to be removed from the right of way. And preferably removed totally,
From the
completely,
site, yeah.
completely, thank you.
I did talk with Peter today, I'm sorry,
Was there anything else we've missed that we talked about at that meeting?
I don't believe so.
Okay.
Yeah, as long as what you're talking about with the crushed stone is that as it heads down that hill, we definitely said it needs someplace to run off to, if that's what you're talking
No,
about.
I'm talking about where the, if this is the pavement,
Mhm.
on the side here, you can see the edge of the pavement, in other words, the gravel was
Yeah.
down here, we
No,
want him to
okay.
back it up.
No, then I'm thinking, when we were standing, we'd kinda gone almost to the top of the drive, and you could,
Top of the road?
yeah,
Yeah, okay.
and you could see where, I mean, it wasn't raining that day, I bet if you went down after yesterday, you'd be able to see it, but you could definitely tell where the natural flow of water would have been,
Mhm.
and you had said that there should probably be some crushed gravel. I think it was very near, I think it was before the scrub started to build up.
Scrubs are on the left.
Right, and there
Okay.
was some on the, like, but we had talked about on the left, you could just kind of tell where the natural flow of water would be down the side of the road. So if we didn't be proactive about putting crushed stone there, it would get to the point where that road would be like the other part that had eroded. Do you remember what we're talking?
Vaguely, but I think that's what David's alluding to when he says backing up the pavement that you're
Okay.
concerned with. Because anything that's not, doesn't have a shoulder is what we're asking him to back up.
Okay,
And I think that's your
Okay.
concern.
And there is one other item that I had noticed there, and we didn't talk about it, but I would want it to be in the letter. And on the left-hand side of the road, as you're heading down, up at the front end, they still have their, silt fence buried in the toe of that slope,
I
which
never
should be
noticed it.
removed.
Yeah.
I saw it and I meant to say something and I didn't.
Didn't see it.
and was there any concern about that, sunken area? At the very beginning, remember, there, so he had
Oh,
they
where
had
the-
dug out the trench for the
Right.
cable?
No, I'd just say that he'll crack seal that.
Okay.
Chip seal will take
Yeah.
care of that. I did talk with Peter today, and he had a concern down at the bottom. He said, or he asked, are we going to require guardrails down there?
He had asked me that, and I looked at it. and
Jim
I'm like,
did, or
No,
Peter?
Peter did.
Yeah.
And that's why I said, well, when I go there Saturday, I'm gonna look at it.
Yeah,
Cause I was thinking it was, you go off the cul-de-sac, saw all those boulders there, and I'm like, you're not
well,
going
that,
anywhere.
and that's what I was thinking as well,
Yeah.
but I wanted to bring it up because he
Yeah.
mentioned it.
Yeah, there was quite a bit before it really dropped off too. I
Yeah.
mean,
Well, if you were doing 35, 40 miles an hour.
Yeah, there's no reason you should be.
Yeah, you shouldn't be, yeah. And I just remember last time when they did the guardrails on Green Farm and they got stolen. So I thought the boulders were,
I think they're pretty
Right.
good deterrent.
yeah,
Are you
Mr.
gonna
Cox.
do like you did on Earl Somrose Road and have somebody dig down, your town engineer, dig down and see what's underneath that pavement?
we didn't do that on Fairbanks,
No, we didn't do,
You didn't do that?
no, we didn't do any coring.
no. The road's already been inspected when
Yeah.
he did the development, that it was
Okay.
built to the class 5 standard.
Yeah, the planning board gives him guidelines that he's gotta build
I
to.
Yeah.
thought I was at, well, I'll ask Earl about this, but I thought when you were making the arrangements, you were gonna have the town engineer dig down and make sure that it was,
No,
okay,
we didn't do that.
okay,
The road's in really nice shape though,
yeah.
over on Westbrook. It's
Westbrook
very-
was very.
Westbrook's in very nice shape.
Being 10 years old, I was amazed,
Yeah.
but it is
And
just
then I
an
know, he had
overglorified driveway.
Yeah.
plans of continuing that road like southerly and then back out. Is that on hold, or,
It
I
was-
didn't know what his plans were.
He has no plan presented to the planning board.
Okay,
Yeah, I haven't heard anything officially that.
Southerly, you mean left, cause
Yeah.
you can't go straight,
all right,
right?
we'll get a compass and what, but to the left, yes. I don't wanna argue, You know what I mean, Dave.
Like, through that one
The
piece.
original plan was down there, I have never been down that road, but I guess there's a cul-de-sac, that he was gonna go to the left
Yeah,
if
Yeah.
you're looking that way.
and in my mind, I had heard that, and I'm thinking he's going towards Zeppers. So when I was down there, I'm like, there is no way he's going over there.
Yeah, but,
And
I-
then
He was gonna go toward,
he'd be
Ashby,
going
right.
left, yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
and I didn't know if that was on hold or.
He has no plans for it, there was
Yeah.
nothing that's been presented.
I heard the
I'm
same.
sure if you look back in the planning board, you will see that.
He presented to the planning board under conceptual, was
Yes.
not coming off of that cul-de-sac.
Oh, wow.
It was coming,
This is,
you know the next two houses down?
no, I've never been down that road.
No, not
No,
on
on
that
Page
road,
Hill,
on
David.
Page Hill, the one that
Oh,
had
okay,
the sunshine on that door, on the garage door.
yes,
He owned that property, and to the, as you look at that house, to the left is where he was proposing to put in a 50-foot right-of-way to, if he developed that
Yeah.
back area. But it didn't loop back out, that I remember, to Westbrook.
yeah, this is a long time ago, I've
So,
just,
yeah, it is a long time ago.
Yeah.
I'm thinking,
Yeah, cause
I
that's,
remember
cause
hearing
he's
that
only,
same scuttlebutt.
'cause he's only got that
I
one
heard
lot
that, I
left.
heard that same thing, that there's gonna
Because
be a big
it was
horseshoe.
when
Right,
I
yeah.
was at the
Yeah,
meeting when he presented it,
yeah, no, I heard it,
yeah.
But
I
he
saw
didn't
it.
mention it when we were
no,
down there.
no.
And
Yeah,
he'd have
well,
to,
I just didn't know if he was
Yeah.
gonna forget about it or.
he'd have to resubmit
Don't know.
anyway,
Yeah.
right? But yeah, it'd have to be
Yeah.
something that.
he never did a formal submittal, I don't think, last. Yeah.
No, he didn't.
And did that, is my memory serving me correct, now that I know that you were there too? Was that, the access was to the left of that house?
I don't know. Sorry.
Okay. Did we get anything from Shaw?
I had asked him to see Joanne, did he ever come in, call, or I don't know. I have no answers for you, I thought I'd left it
Okay.
where
Uh,
the ball was in his court, he was gonna act.
Okay. The other item that's on my mind is, I would like to know if you two gentlemen would concur in inviting our two state reps to a meeting where we can get two things, twofold. One, let them tell us what they're doing up in Concord, us relaying what the town would like them to relay up in Concord.
Sure.
But more importantly, in my mind, is coming back from that cemetery and driving on that Smithville Road just
Mhm.
drives me nuts.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
And I think I've mentioned it to you about somebody at one point in time, he told me, and I haven't found anything about it, but that you can have your state reps petition, I don't know if it's the DOT or someone, where the town would be in agreement that the state reconstruct or rebuild the road, there's no definition of what they would do. But if they did that, then the town would take on the responsibility for the summer maintenance. We already own the winter maintenance. It doesn't seem like the state's ever doing summer maintenance, which is pave that road. And
And
then
they've patched a few holes and done a little bit of ditching, but
they've
it's
done
been,
lots of patching.
it's been
I'll
neglected.
give them that.
Well, that's, I just found out I mean, Jay had just told me on Saturday what the story was, cause that's what I said, I'm like, why are we picking up this road when we can't fix that one? And he goes, we don't do that one, I'm like, okay, why isn't that one fixed then?
Yeah.
It was horrible.
No,
It
I-
is.
I
It is.
think
Because
that,
I always thought it had stopped at the bridge. And
No.
then, when Peter didn't have that other part ground up, I'm
Right.
like, why didn't you grind that up?
yeah,
He says, no, they go all the way
yeah.
to the
Yeah.
fork.
No,
Yeah,
that's-
no, I think that'd be a wonderful idea.
If it,
Have them bring it up to DOT spec, and then if they want us to maintain it, we will. Yeah,
I think it's at least worth a discussion to start,
yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely,
so.
yeah.
Would you be able to contact them and see, what would meet with their schedule for Tuesday evening?
Cause they're certainly not doing any summer maintenance on it.
Yeah, that's what makes me,
It's terrible, that
Yeah.
road's beat up.
Yeah.
Going Road's nice, Page Hill's nice, Fox Farm's nice, but you gotta drive through a mile of junk to get to
To
it.
get there,
Yeah.
yeah. What was the second item?
Police building?
Police building.
I-
Non-public?
Non-public, yes.
Cancel next week's.
Yes, I heard you guys are
I
on
won't be
I'll be,
vacation again.
I'll be, it's another meeting to attend.
Oh.
Quarterly meeting.
Okay. We'll cancel next week's meeting.
Sounds
You
good.
can hold court on your own, I guess, if you want, and probably get more accomplished, there'll be nobody arguing with
I
you.
thought you guys were gonna conference in or something, I don't know.
Yeah. I have a flip phone, David.
And Chief Carpenter has somebody that he's trying to get hired for May first.
Fantastic.
He wanted, the selectmen to approve it, you know. Would you and Jay be able to meet on another night? Just for
Sure.
that one thing?
Yeah.
Absolutely,
Yeah.
Or Thursday?
Just to give you,
Yeah,
can I give them the highlights? Oh, no.
sure. I mean, I guess.
Person is part-time certified, so we would hire them
Mhm.
and they would start the academy in the fall
Mm-hmm.
to get the full-time
Yeah.
certification.
Yeah, no, Chief had talked to me about that a while
Okay.
back.
You mentioned it to
So-
me. I can,
So maybe he doesn't need to meet with you if you're all in agreement.
That's
That's
what
why
I'm
he's
saying, we're
coming
up.
for you.
I'm fine with that.
I'm good with it, yeah,
Okay, good.
yeah.
Okay?
Yep.
Any other new business? We have the red folder.
Oh, I do have something, I'm
No,
sorry.
sure.
When I was talking to the chief about paving Timber Top, he asked if we had any intentions of doing anything with the big rock. And I said, well, I think we probably have to, because it is a safety issue, even on a dirt road. You know the rock I'm talking
I
about?
know exactly what truck you're
Okay.
talking about.
And,
That's traffic control,
I
isn't it?
know, that's what I
No.
thought.
no, that's not traffic control, that's dangerous, especially paved, but, and then guardrails down that left side. He says, do you have any intentions of doing anything with, guardrails on the left? So I told him I'll bring them up and, we'll discuss them, so. Should we make a field trip out there, or do we have to? I know the road pretty well, I've looked over that banking from the seat of a truck many times, so I know where he is. Do you
I
wanna
hope
take a
you're
drive?
keeping your eyes on the road.
Always, yes. Unless I was texting or changing radios. But you don't have any service out there, so I wouldn't text.
Yeah.
Do you wanna drive it, just so you know what I'm talking about?
I know what you're talking about.
Yeah,
I got no issue with it.
You think we need to do anything with it?
I think we've
I
gone
think-
all these years without it, and then you say,
You
well,
figure,
hasn't-
it's worse on dirt, cause you're trying to avoid the potholes. If you're not going off then, you're not gonna go off when it's paved.
I told him I'd bring both of those issues to the.
Cause I got
board.
them on my road too, and every time I go over there to avoid and then the soft shoulder pulls you in, keeps you awake.
Okay,
Makes you put your phone down when you're halfway through a text. It's very annoying.
gentlemen, we are all law-abiding citizens here.
We go get
I thought you would say you knew which one it was.
Do you know-
so, we done with the public?
Yeah, we're gonna go to non-public,
Yeah.
and I, to do that, I need that.
Right.
Oh,
cheat sheet.
Do you know if Peter made it over